Sanji's not my favorite member of the crew at all, but I just got major respect for this man after reading this chapter. He saves his Straw Hat crew. He fucking goes to that tea party with Capone. That's the last thing he wants to do. He doesn't want to marry some random girl. You know, normally you'd think that he'd want to do that, but Sanji's not the type of guy to betray his friends just to get some pussy. He's not that guy. As much as Oda sometimes make it seem like he's that guy, he makes him out to be this dumb guy driven completely by his instincts. You know, when he saw Violet, he was just chasing her down and he immediately fell in love with her. You know, Sanji is definitely portrayed at times to be that guy, but this chapter shows us that he is not that guy, and the only reason he is now joining Capone to go to Big Mom so that he could have some fucking tea, it's not even because the Minks just went through the travesty they went through and the Straw Hats would be in danger, as much as that would be a legitimate reason to go with, you know, Capone to visit Big Mom. He's doing this shit because he's been running away from it for the longest time, and now he feels like it's finally time to put that shit to an end. Which, at the end of the day, takes bravery, because whatever this man went through over there, you could tell it's on some really fucked up shit. Like, if Brook gets chills down his spine, if this dead motherfucker gets chills down his spine just hearing the name, and Sanji went through a storm of chaos crossing the red line just to leave that whole situation with his Vinsmoke family, you could already tell he went through something crazy. And I mean, the psychological debt that it's had on Sanji is very visible throughout the story. You know, it becomes apparent when he has his love for women, and that shit just fucking completely ruins his mind. The guy can't stop thinking about girls or protecting girls. You know, thinking about girls is one thing, but constantly, you know, protecting them even when they're the enemy trying to kill him, that's something that's psychological at that point in time. Because if somebody's trying to kill you, it don't matter if it's a girl or a guy, you gotta stop that issue. But what I'm trying to say is that it takes so much bravery for Sanji to do what he did, and a part of it is obviously the Straw Hats. I mean, he got them out of that fucking Capone's belly shit on purpose so that they wouldn't have to come with him. Capone is a snake. He dragged all of Sanji's friends into his belly, and obviously we know once they're inside of him, he could kind of control it, as we see in this chapter, like Nami was sinking in quicksand. Either way, the amount of stress Sanji went through in this chapter, it's unimaginable. Like, he was hiding all of these things from the Straw Hats for a reason, and now it's being dragged out of him. Even after Riro whispered that shit into Sanji's ear, and Sanji's like, how did you find out? And then Al Capone's like, that's a funny ass question, and I say Al Capone because that's who this guy pretty much is a representation of. He's a representation of an Italian gangster, so we'll call him Al Capone. Al Capone was like, who do you think we are? We are members of the Big Mom crew. Like, if we wanted you dead, you'd be dead. And then Sanji asked for a paper and pen. Al Capone thinks he's delivering a message to Luffy, but no, he's delivering a message for fucking everybody, and the plans were completely changed. Capone really wanted Sanji's friends because he knows if he has Sanji's friends, Sanji will be forced to make a certain decision. You see, that wanted alive poster in Sanji's mind confirms the fact that he lives no matter what the fuck he does. Why is that? Because whoever created that wanted alive poster, whoever has the amount of influence to do some shit like that, this is one of the only wanted alive posters we've ever seen. Well, they are the same people who arranged the marriage to begin with. The same reason why Capone is out here to retrieve Sanji. So in the back of Sanji's mind, he knows that these guys can't do anything to him. That's why Capone took it upon himself to drag all of the other Straw Hats into the mix so that Sanji would be forced to make a certain decision, and Sanji was not having any of that. Whereas Al Capone thinks that he one-upped Sanji, Sanji really one-upped him and the entire Big Mom Pirates. Well, not the entire Big Mom Pirates, but you get the point. And speaking of Big Mom, like, we see her character design, and I'm not gonna lie, that girl be looking cute. I'd hit for the entire world's resources. And after the stresses of cutting away from his friends, and he's gonna be away from his friends for a very long time, for at least one arc. You know, Luffy's gonna come here, he's gonna meet up with the rest of the Straw Hats, including Zoro, including the rest of them motherfuckers, and they're gonna go on a hunt for Sanji. So it's gonna be a wave of craziness for Sanji. I don't think the same thing is gonna happen to Zoro or the rest of the Straw Hat crew. I think after Sanji's backstory is fully covered, I think the Straw Hats as a whole will be covered, and then we can finally deal with some of the outer world issues, like dealing with Kaido. I'm thinking Sanji's going to stay loyal to this mission. I don't think that he's going to betray Capone at this point in time in terms of having that tea party with Big Mom. I mean, he said himself he wants to deal with this mess. So even though Sanji said that Capone couldn't do anything to him, which I believe, like, I think Sanji could kick Capone's ass in a one-on-one. There's something about the transition of people leaving Capone's body or the amount of times he uses it that really weakens him down. Like, I've noticed the second that the Straw Hats kind of gotten out of his body, he was just there, like, really, he couldn't do anything. And Sanji would just have to find the right time for this castle fruit to recover, and then he he could just come in and just kick his ass. So I think Sanji could indeed beat Capone in a one-on-one. Now, what I honestly think is going to happen is Sanji might indeed marry this girl. I don't think he's going to want to do it at first. I think Sanji finds all girls beautiful. He's going to marry this girl Pudding, however, and something's going to happen to where Sanji and Pudding, like, they kind of trust each other, they like each other, and be with her later on in life after Sanji is done making Luffy the Pirate King. And Sanji is so loyal. Did you guys see how emotional he got when he said, like, I would never do that shit, like, Luffy would never accept being under Big Mom. He is set on making Luffy's dreams come true whilst also making his own dreams come true. There's no reason why he's going to sacrifice all of that for some pussy or to get inside of a marriage or to even please his family that he escaped from. The only reason why he would be doing it is because there's some mess that he has to deal with that would prevent the Straw Hats and himself from getting fucked up later on. So he's going to go here. I think he's going to actually marry Pudding. I think he's going to form those connections with Big Mom. He's going to meet with his family, and I think his family does have crazy world government connections, if not being the Gorosei, like, who has the power of talking to the Yonko while having the power to create world government wanted only alive posters. Like, who the fuck has that kind of power? Either way, I think he's going to deal with both sides and find a way to get back to the Straw Hats, or the Straw Hats are going to go after him and save his ass. I think he's going to leave this being an ally of Big Mom's. I think there's a reason why we saw Jack the Ripper early on into this arc and he was decimating everything, destroying everything. I think that is all set up for a relationship, a bond between Big Mom and the Straw Hat crew. They are going to team up to fight another Yonko, get rid of Kaido's bitch ass, because that's the only way it can happen. I think the only way Luffy can do what he does best, and that's kick Yonko ass, is if he has Yonko power, which is Big Mom, and, you know, maybe they'll all team up to take Kaido down, and then afterwards Luffy can deal with Big Mom. Who the fuck knows? Maybe Luffy and the Straw Hats will be the only ones to have a connection with Big Mom outside of Big Mom's parameters, to where she accepts the other ones to, like, leave, because I think that she really wants this powerful connection. I think she really wants Sanji to marry Pudding, and she's not gonna kill Sanji, you know, she's not gonna kill the one of this royal family that's going to give her more power. She's just not gonna do that shit. So she has to negotiate and listen to both sides. She has to listen to the Vinsmoke family, who Sanji clearly has a problem with, and I can't wait to find out about that, but she also has to listen to Sanji's desire. Sanji can do some fucked up shit to Pudding, even though I know he's not gonna do that, but she cannot just go manipulating everything without even some compromise. This was a fucking awesome week of One Piece. After I read this chapter, I checked my messages and I found a theory. Somebody believes that the ship carrying that world noble 10 years ago to Sabo's country, you know, the place where Sabo got all fucked up and he died, well, that was 10 years before Luffy started his adventure. You want to know what else was 10 years before Luffy started his adventure? Sanji got separated from his family. So maybe this guy stuck on that specific world noble ship that visited Sabo's land, and this was perfectly aligned in terms of time. Like 10 years ago, 10 years ago. That's how he got on East Blue. I don't know how he disguised himself. I don't know how he was even allowed on that ship. If they found out, maybe he was a cook. There has to be a solution as to how a little boy could make it through the red line going from North Blue to East Blue. That shit just doesn't happen naturally. And so mad props to the guy who actually linked me this theory. I think it's pretty fucking awesome.